Here's
Welcome into the AutoNation Pre-Game Show with myself, Kaylin, Kyle, Phil, Shane, and Thomas Wrong. And we've got a massive game here happening just north of the border in Toronto, in Canada. A must-win 3 points on the line, and we're going to break it all down here for you right after this.
In terms of the week that we've had, it's been a broken week. We've not had any training on Tuesday, Wednesday because of the weather conditions and the floods around the area that we're in. This weekend we are the first team to play, which means that you can get your first punch in first. That hopefully will be a positive punch, and that hopefully will put pressure on our rivals. But really, if we don't do our job, it won't matter what others are doing. And that's the only way to look at it at this stage of the season. Take one game at a time, win your game, put the points on the table, and the rest looks after itself. This last week is one where you have to enjoy. There's going to be a lot of pressure, there's going to be a lot of twists and turns, and we're going to make sure that we continue the enjoyment that we've had as a team. You know, we're in the 7th position. We've got to attack the last 3 games like we've attacked the last month or 2. We've got to go for 9 points.
Welcome back into the AutoNation Pre-Game Show, and it's not just myself, it's Phil, Shane, Thomas Wrong. It feels good to be back with the gang, you guys. Now, obviously, you just heard Phil Neville speak about how important this game is. A very broken week due to the weather on Tuesday and Wednesday, and can we just say our thoughts and prayers are going out to the south of Florida on that east or on the west coast of us, just the devastation that is going on there. So we are thinking of you at this time. So we're hoping this next hour can take your mind off some of those painful things that has just happened. But Phil saying broken week, first game of the weekend, they can really make a stamp on this game and have MLS the little bit of maybe pressure off if they do get the 3 points, Phil.
Yeah, it's a huge game, obviously, and the important thing is it's on a Friday, so they're playing first. And you can say, you know what, I'd rather be on the back end and see what other teams do. Here you can make a real statement. Get the 3 points, put the pressure on Columbus, Orlando, Atlanta, whomever is around you as well, to get those 3 points as well. So I think that's the right mentality for Phil Neville and this team to take. They won their last game on the road, which was huge, obviously, for us, 3-2 against DC, with Campana and Higuain absolutely being stellar. But this team is finally finding a way on the road to get results as well. Phil Neville has said at the start of the season, I think the playoffs are going to be lost or won with results for us on the road, which hasn't been particularly good. But as of late, we're putting up a fight with a new system, and we with a refound kind of energy after 3 losses. The win against Columbus at home was huge, with Higuain scoring the winner. Campana coming back in the starting 11 with Higuain for a little extra punch. Gets his first 2 goals against DC United as well. And in both games, again, they went up, they tied, and found a way to win, which they've done at home, but now, most importantly, against Toronto. Particularly, there's nothing to play for, a lot of people say. This could be a very interesting game because Toronto makes it entertaining with giving up, 12 goals in the last 3 games.
Well, yeah, 12 goals in the last 3 games. Interesting, though, Phil saying it was a little bit of a broken week, but they did have that massive international break, Phil. So did that play a little bit maybe of an advantage for Inter Miami? A couple players with those injuries, obviously Campana just coming off that major injury, got slotted into the starting 11, had the brace against DC. Is it beneficial that they are coming off this international break with some of those players maybe going out? Obviously, DeAndre Yedlin, we will get to the 11. He is in the 11, a little bit eerie with that one. We thought maybe going to be missing due to injury. Advantage or disadvantage?
Well, I guess we'll find out in about 2 hours' time. But I'm going to say,
Come on, answer my question.
well, I'm going to say disadvantage, because when you're winning, you want to keep playing. The advantage, though, might come because they have 3 games coming up in about 10 days. That's one of the advantages, by the way, of playing on Friday. You get that extra day's rest before the midweek game, and then everything comes out on decision day when pretty much everyone's playing at 2:30 with the playoffs on the line. So the extra rest that they have gotten is going to benefit there in those other 2 games. Tonight, which might be the most crucial one because it is the road game, the only road game remaining on the schedule before they come home to close out the season with 2 games at home against 2 teams that really don't have much to play for. So this is one where they should win. They go in against a Toronto team that, similar to DC United, really has nothing to play for. They're just playing out the string. We'll find out, though, if
playing
how
out
this
the
team is
string,
built.
Phil. As a former player and a coach, there's 2 things that you circled. Yes, you want to win the MLS Cup. Don't get me wrong. It's the first game of the season, which normally is a sellout, and the last game of the season when you say goodbye to your fans in a fashion that should be very professional. I expect Toronto to put up a big fight. I expect Toronto and Bob Bradley to say, you know what, these 5 guys don't figure into my plans. Here, young guys, go ahead. So this is a tough opponent, regardless of the fact that they're leaking goals, obviously. But if you got Insigne and Bernadeschi, I think that's still a team that you cannot look beyond, which I know this team doesn't do. Talk about the rest, I think it did benefit us, quite frankly. You talked about Campana, obviously. Higuain was knackered. 3 games in 8 days. He needed the rest as well. Motta and Gregory, the minutes they've put in. McVeigh, who has not taken off a minute as well. So I think that's an advantage for us. And the momentum will carry over with Yetland and Lowe, the only 2 that went on international duty, obviously.
Well, speaking of momentum, yes, we were on an international break, but before that international break, it was DC United, obviously away at Wayne Rooney's team. We decided to leave it till the brink of the game ending, like we do, as always, with Inter Miami fashion. Campana, we touched on him starting in that starting 11, getting the brace, and then Gonzalo Higuain, you talked about him being absolutely knackered in this match, ended up scoring the game winner. Phil Neville spoke about how it was so important to keep a player like that on. Why is that, Thomas?
Well, I mean, the experience, and the reason why Phil Neville said we're going to a full 4-2, because I need goal scorers on the field. We've struggled in this department, and particularly on the road, so very brave by Phil Neville to change the formation. And they struggled early on, Cale and Kyle, without a doubt, and are going down against DC 1-0. But they grew into this game, and it became better and better. And all of a sudden, the big stations up front, and this is the goal that we conceded in the 21st minute, heads went down a little bit because the system didn't particularly work very well. But you know what? If you get height in there, be it Mabika right there, be it Campana on set pieces, the height of Campana and Mabika obviously play a huge role now as well in open play, but also in set pieces. You can't have a better guy putting a ball in there than Higuain. Yes, poor defending maybe, but Campana is right there to get into Miami just before the half at 1-1. And all of a sudden, this team started to believe and started to play well and get people going forward. What a good ball that is in. And then Leo lays that one back, gets it back from Pozuelo. Brilliant execution, obviously. Great build-up. And then your playmaker providing your other number 9 with an opportunity, DC down 2-1. But you know what? DC gave a fight, just like Toronto will as well. Comes with a set piece. Bryce Duke stepped there a little bit quicker. And Callender gets really blocked by the view, obviously, and Taxi Fountas. And we all know what's going on with Taxi Fountas and obviously the racial slurs, which hasn't been really decided by MLS. That put a real damper in this game. But look at here, 93rd minute. Look at this ball from DeAndre Yetland, and brilliant and simplistic by Higuain, that near post run, holding his run just a little bit more, waiting for Yetland to tell him where that ball's going, and yes, it's near post, and that's absolutely brilliant for their 2nd win only on the road this year, but job well done. And get yourself, look at these guys. They know now, they're in the player picture, they're in 7th position. They can create their own destiny with 3 wins on the trot. 9 points, as Phil Neville said, a must.
And these are some of the stats from that game. 3 goals, 8 shots on target for Inter Miami. A lovely little look at, obviously it's Canada, you guys. I have a soft spot for Canada, not in this match. I am going Inter Miami, but this is BMO Field, just right in downtown Toronto. It's a beautiful little setting. Nice weather as well. Brisk. It's brisk for Inter Miami. Does that play an advantage to Inter Miami? They're used to training in the heat. They're used to playing in the heat. Does that add maybe a physical advantage? You're coming off international break, Thomas, and then now you're playing in cooler weather.
Yes. As a player, I'll be real honest with you. I played for years, obviously, in South Florida in this revamped stadium where Inter Miami's playing right now in Fort Lauderdale. And anytime I went up north during this time of the year, it almost felt like I could get more oxygen in my lungs. Yeah, seriously.
Can I say one thing?
No.
Phil said he doesn't like Toronto because it's too clean. Have we ever heard this before?
I don't like Toronto.
Yes, you did. You said you like it for the plays, but not because it's too clean.
I love
Sorry.
the plays, but no, she was saying it's her favorite Canada city. I go, Montreal, well, perhaps it's just because Montreal
I
has
like the poutines in
That,
Montreal.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, they have poutine, which is a huge advantage. As far as Toronto goes, I mean, it's right on the banks. When it is early in the season, when it's February and March, you don't want to be playing at BMO. Now, towards the end of the season, it's going to be a comfortable 55 degrees at kickoff or so.
Perfect conditions.
Very little breeze. As you said, from a Miami perspective, they're going to go up there and they're going to get extra legs. I want to see how they play, though, mentally. You talked about the win and how important it was to get the victory at DC United. Again, Gonzalo Higuain's second straight game with a huge goal late. But that was their first road win. I think prior to that, it was 1 win out of 12 away from home, only their third road win of the season. So if they can close out with 2 road wins in a row, 3 games in a row, you go into those final 2 at home, it's hard to bet against Inter Miami. Today, in my mind, is the test.
You know what? One thing I'm throwing Phil under the bus left, right, and center right now. The best thing about him, I don't even know how you do this with people not looking. He's got the weather up here. So when I said it was a brisk day, he's got it up here. It's 58 degrees. So FYI, I'm not a weather woman, but Phil is.
You gotta be prepared.
Talk to me about the partnership, Campana and Gonzalo Higuain. We hadn't really seen them play together. Obviously, you touched on Phil Neville changing the system. Did it work? Didn't it work? But do those two work together?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a struggle early on to find their balance, and particularly in midfield. That midfield diamond with the base of Mota, with obviously Pozuelo as a true number 10 underneath those 2 big boys up front. And Higuain tried to play off Campana just a little bit, and it didn't really work out. And Phil, the adjustment Phil made in the second half, both play as high as possible, both occupy a center back, and we just got to make sure that we get places, which they did. Yetlin's great runs going forward, and all of a sudden they were able to supply both big boys into that final third, and in particular inside the 18-yard box. And I thought it was very well done. They pressed a little bit higher and earlier as well against DC, disrupt their rhythm, so they show different phases of how they can deal with certain opponents. And if you look at Toronto, and if you say right now, you know what, if we can keep Insigne, Bernardeschi down, which comes down to probably McVeigh and Yetlin out there, and we can get from those 2 guys something going forward, because both Italians don't like to defend. There's a reason why they've given up 12 goals in the last 3, because they cheat a little bit. If you lose balls in bad spots, they will hurt you. But you can also create numerical advantages with McVeigh and Yetlin stepping into midfield as well. And in DC, they finally found that good rhythm going forward, and we're a little bit more steely defensively as well.
Phil, just before I get to you about the partnership, can we talk about how many layers these Inter Miami players have going into Canada? The things that I love to see. Obviously brought out my Canadian hat. It is hot here in South Florida, but we're in studio today, so this is why I decided to wear it. What are you making of Gonzalo and Campana real quick?
Well, the one thing I would notice is that Gonzalo Higuain was starting to taper a little bit. Sure, 13 goals in the season, leads the team. He was just nominated for MLS MVP. 11 goals in his last 13 games, counting the last 2 against Columbus and DC United. But he wasn't quite the physical presence that they needed him to be when Campana went down. So now Campana returns at the perfect time, gives him someone to play off of up front. We saw that pass from Yedlin. I don't want to let that slide, because you and I have talked about this, Thomas. There might not be a better serving right back, I mean almost Beckham-like, for the United States than DeAndre Yedlin. But I have never really seen him do that on-the-ground cutback for Gonzalo Higuain. DC was ready for him to launch in a cross. He snuck one in between, and Gonzalo Higuain made the run. So I think the partnership with Campana comes at the perfect time. They're going to need it again tonight against a Toronto squad that is leaking goals. And I'm going to disagree just the tiniest bit. I think Toronto will come out strong, Thomas. but I also kind of sense there could be a glass jaw moment here. If Miami can hold that early pressure, come and get the first goal, maybe a second goal, I wouldn't be surprised to see Toronto start packing their golf clubs and ready for the offseason.
I love when you guys disagree. It's one of my most favorite things. Thomas, I'm gonna stop you.
On the Bob Bradley, will not happen, believe me.
I will say something with DeAndre Yedlin. Maybe he's made his case for him after seeing these last fixtures under Greg Berhalter with the U.S. men's national team for a starting role there. I'll leave it at that. Don't go anywhere when we come back. We've got interviews with Pozuelo. We also have a new MLS player here at Inter Miami. And then we also have a coach's corner with Mr. Thomas Rongen.
Company. Now's your chance to go be great at AutoNation. Go to jobs.autonation.com for endless career opportunities. Work at America's largest and most admired automotive retailer that's driving towards $35 million donated to fight cancer. For industry-leading benefits and a great work experience, visit jobs.autonation.com now and go be great.
¿Qué te pareció el partido?
Bueno, por suerte metimos al captain a tiempo y se llevó muy bien con la piña. Es un dúo que nos gustó mucho y va a ser historia en esta casa. Si quieres vivir un partido épico, mete al captain.
Gracias.
I need to try it first.
Stir things up with Espolón Tequila, the official tequila sponsor of Inter Miami CF, made with hand-harvested 100% Blue Weber agave from Los Altos de Jalisco, Mexico. Grab an Espolón cocktail at a stadium bar today.
Has served this community for more than 40 years. We guarantee 100% termite eradication or your money back.
Call Aflex.
Welcome back into the AutoNation Pre-Game Show. You can obviously see the live scenes of Inter Miami in Toronto, Canada at BMO Field, just on the water there. It's an absolutely stunning little stadium. A little bit brisk, 58 degrees. Thank you, Phil, for pulling up the weather app for me. Kaylin Kyle, Phil Shane, Thomas Rongen. And before I get to you guys, we got to sit down for a flash interview with Phil Neville to get his thoughts ahead of this match.
Yeah, I mean, it's three finals for us this week, and you know, I think the international break came at a time where we could really just reset and refocus. We've got DeAndre and Damo back from international break fully fit, which is a big thing for us. And now it's the week really that is the reason why you become a manager or a footballer, is the week where the biggest games are. And when you get the biggest games, you need your big players to stand up. And we've got a team that looks focused. We've got a team that looks ready. And you know, I said to him today, I said for us to get into the playoffs, we're going to have to go for the 9 points. And because, you know, you look at the other permutations around, you think that other teams will pick up points. So we start tonight against a tough opposition, a team that's not in the playoff push, but a team that's got great quality. And, you know, I think it's going to be really exciting last week.
What do you expect of Toronto tonight, and how do we get the 3 points?
Well, you know, they've got world-class players on either wing. Yeah, they've probably had a disappointing season, but you know, they've got players that can be match winners. You know, Benedetti and Insigne, the players that can win a game on their own. So we're going to have to defend really well. The game probably 5-6 weeks ago was a game where we were probably fortunate enough to win, but we know we're going to have to keep those two players quiet tonight for us to have any chance of winning the game.
And words from Phil Neville just ahead of this match. And it was interesting because he went back to the last match, and that was obviously here at home. You touched about the away record of Inter Miami struggling a little bit as opposed to their home record. Does that play a little bit into it, Phil, for you? They touched on international break. They got players back that are healthy. Now they're in Toronto. What are we making of that?
Well, I think it'll be a little less because Toronto is now out of the playoff hunt, the fact that they are coming off of a victory against them recently. But I have a feeling also Phil Neville had that clicker out looking back at that game against Toronto because it took a bit of, how would you say, solid play, a little bit of fortunate play for them to get the result. Here you take a look at the bobble that led to the goal.
Disaster that led to the goal.
Yeah. There's going to be a different keeper. Quentin Westberg, the former U.S. Youth International, is going to be in goal tonight. There's a few changes from that, but the things that are still the same are Bernardeschi and Insigne and Michael Bradley. One thing that makes things even more difficult, I know Osorio's not out there, but Jesus Jimenez is in his 9 goals. So there were a number of chances that Toronto had as they, especially Bernardeschi, attacking in on McVeigh and Saylor on that left side, the right side of the attack. They created so many opportunities but could not find a target man on the inside. With Jimenez, they have a guy that can score. So I think more than anything, Miami's going to have to keep the 0 on the board, or at least keep it under 1 for them to have a chance tonight.
Yeah, again, real quick, I disagree with that because they've given up.
Yes, I love disagreements.
12 goals in the last 3 games. So we will get opportunities, and I feel that there will be 2 or 3 or maybe 4 goals out there for us as well. I agree with you there, although I don't think you can keep Toronto at a 0. They're highly entertaining right now in terms of goals scored. They scored 6 in the last 3. It's an average of 2. They score over an average of 2.5 at home as well. So this could be another 3-2 affair, quite frankly, where there's goals for both sides. It's just a matter of, I think, who's executing best in the final third. And then on the other end, as you said, how can both defenses, and I firmly believe right now that Inter Miami's defense is way better than Toronto's defense, that could make the difference in the game. Regardless of the goals here and there, I think 3 points is a great possibility for this team.
No, hold on. I want to see where the disagreement was, though.
I'm just going to walk myself up.
Grab the wine. Grab the wine while you're at it.
You
said Toronto scores 2 goals.
You said they have to keep the 0.
No, 0 or 1.
That's where I disagree with.
But if Toronto scores 2 goals, can Miami get 3 on the road?
They've given up. Yes, I think they do. I think the system change has really worked in favor of this team. I think right now, back-to-back games with the same 11, so there is some familiarity. Low Mabika, centrally, obviously, McVeigh out there as well. The midfield triangle, or now it's a diamond, out of the 4-4-2, really getting better. You saw goals from Motta, and by the way, Lassiter. Okay, Lassiter is a potential guy that can come off the bench. I think we're deeper, on the bench as well to make well, Campana is starting right now, but you get a Lassiter, for instance, that's not starting. You have a Taylor that's not starting. You have a Vasilev that's not starting. So those are all components that can help you late in the game, because this game might go 2-2 with 10 minutes left, and there's chances, which Toronto had as well at home. There's chance for both teams. I just like our mindset, and I like this 11, quite frankly, which Phil Neville said, that's the same 11 I'm going with as well.
You know what I like? When I don't have to even do my job when I come to work, because you guys are doing my job for me. It's hook, line, and sinker for them at the moment. T, I do want to ask you just a managerial side. Obviously, Bob Bradley, you can see just the roller coaster, bringing the new players. They went on that great run. They started winning. Now they haven't won in the last 3. They've conceded 12 goals in the last 3 games. Is this not a game for players to prove, hey, I want to be in your plans next year. I want to show you that I deserve to be here. Will that not play in a little bit of an advantage for Toronto after coming off the international break to reset?
I know there was this great urge, regardless where we finished in the year on the last, but I'm telling you, there will be 20,000 plus in that stadium on a Friday night.
Yeah.
I worked in
Us
Toronto.
Canadians love football now.
I worked for Toronto FC as the academy director for 2 years, so I know what this club means to them and what these players also feel about their fans. And I think that knowing Bob Bradley is a good friend of mine, he will drive this team. I'm a little surprised that I see the same names pretty much across that back line as well, including, by the way, his son, Michael Bradley. I thought he would give 2 or 3 younger players a chance, knowing probably that he's going to shed 3 or 4 guys next year when he stays on, which I'm sure he will, as the coach as well. So, yes, Galen, a lot to play for in the starting 11, and some of the younger guys that also came off the bench against us that were pretty darn good.
Yeah, they were some of the game changers when they did come off the bench. We did get to sit down with Pozuelo ahead of this match as well for his flash interview. Let's take a listen to see what he had to say.
No, the feel in the dressing room is very good. We come with
the two last game with winning, and this is very important for the confidence. And we know that Toronto have very good team, very good players. So if we don't put intensity from the first minute, will be difficult. But I think the team have confidence to put in everything and try to keep going and take the 3 points. This is the most important. Returning to Toronto, does that add any special feelings or pressure for you ahead of a crucial game?
No, happy to be back, happy to see some friends, and this is the game, this is the football, and I hope I can take the 3 points from here.
Cool, calm, and collected from Pozuelo. I don't expect anything less, but T, going back to your old club, you saw the performance, and let's just be honest, because he's been a fantastic player here. I thought he struggled against Toronto the last time that they played them here at home, and that 2-1 win victory looked a little bit shaky, maybe just, you know, a little bit more frustrated than you would be in a normal game, because obviously you do want to impress when you go up against an old club. Now going back to his old home stadium, what is this like as a player?
Oh, always special, Kaylin, and you've played for several teams just like I have, you know, both domestically and internationally, and there's always something special going there, and in particular something special when you have a chip on your shoulder, because Bob Bradley pretty much said, we don't need you anymore. So, you know what, I think that Pozuelo, since that 2-1 win against Toronto, where he didn't play particularly well, has really stepped it up another notch. And we talked about Campana, we talked about Higuain, but we also have to talk about the provider, the heart and soul of this team right now. And there's a lot of secondary and third terrier assists where yes, thank you, where Pozuelo is involved, you know, where he doesn't necessarily give the final pass, although he had a great pass, obviously, that put Campana in the position to score against DC United, but he's been very instrumental in the build-up. He plays now in that true number 10 position. He played out wide a few times where he had to come in and then players had to play off him. But now he's got the freedom to roam because he's got Gregory, Motta, and Bryce Duke doing a little bit of the dirty work. And with Bryce Duke, you add another great passer that makes Pozuelo better as well. So I think Phil finally figured out how to get his two best attackers on the field, change the midfield formation a little bit so that Pozuelo also can shine even more than he's done already throughout this season.
Phil, do you think Pozuelo's found a new home? You saw him the first two seasons with Toronto. He was up for league MVP, won league MVP with Toronto, had a really struggling third season there, and then came here and has really revamped this Inter Miami side. You've ticked all the boxes that I wanted to touch on, but do you think this is maybe a future home for him for years to come?
Well, we'll see what happens next year with a full training camp behind him, because Inter Miami is going to blow up. Yep. Now the new stadium's coming up in Miami. We're talking, I mean, you're hearing names like Busquets and Messi and those guys coming in. So Pozuelo is going to have to prove himself. For the most part since he's been down here, and I think even in flashes in that Toronto game, if I remember, he was involved in the build-up to the Lassiter goal. In flashes he showed himself. He's done a lot more. With this change in formation, it takes away some of the defensive responsibilities, doesn't have to track back as much. You can kind of tinker a little bit, let Duke handle a little bit more of the left side. Gregory can help cover as well. So Pozuelo can basically work with his communication and chemistry with Higuain and Campana. He has been outstanding compared to what Miami has had to work with at this point. It's his job to lose. I don't see him losing it anytime soon.
Yeah, and I think I completely agree with you on that one. He's got a new haircut, but you can even see him here. Just having some fun with the players. I feel like you haven't really seen the players loose and smiling before matches. I mean, the first two seasons, it was very almost tense. No one really laughing and joking. You're not seeing the clicks on and off the pitch. You're seeing Gonzalo Higuain, lighter, brighter, clearer. Just the body language has completely changed, and it's really come down to a player like Pozuelo coming in, and I feel like almost lifting that load off players that had to continually try to show up week in and week out, T.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this team, obviously, the makeup of this team that was totally revamped in the offseason. Bringing somebody in like Pozuelo, I thought was huge. Bringing somebody in as Damian Lowe was huge. Bringing somebody in as Yetlin is huge as well. And Pozuelo plays the way he acts towards his teammates. It's with passion. It's with love. It's with fun as well. The way he caresses the ball, the way he deals with his teammates. You see it in the warm-up right there. Him and Motta, you know, and that's a guy that has to protect Pozuelo as the number 6 as well. Just that chemistry behind each other, pushing each other.
Pozuelo's like, thank you for not making me run as much defensively.
Exactly. Those are the kind of conversations that Motta will laugh about, but that Pozuelo thinks, you know what, I'm going to bail you out too, Motta. I'm going to work also on the other side of the ball, which he has, by the way, in helping press and forcing mistakes, but he is the best player, in my opinion, for Inter Miami. Yes, we have Higuain. Yes, we have Campana, but I think that Pozuelo is the one. I love to see those two play as well, but that's the one I want to pay money for.
To be a year removed from MVP, and you basically get him almost on the equivalent of free?
For free,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, Chris Henderson, I mean, he is a magician. Let's just call us, I can't say that anymore. I always say that. Let's just call a spade, but I'm using it here.
It's your first time. It's okay.
It's my first time today, but the man is a magician.
As long as we're talking about clubs, you're fine.
It's true. All right, don't go anywhere. We got much more just around the corner. We have Coach's Corner with CR. We got a little touchscreen set up over here to my left with him, and then also some club news as well.
To have a truly great career, you need to be with a great company. Now's your chance to go be great at AutoNation. Go to jobs.autonation.com for endless career opportunities. Work at America's largest and most admired automotive retailer that's driving towards $35 million donated to fight cancer. For industry-leading benefits and a great work experience, visit jobs.autonation.com now and go be great.
Over the last 75 years, City National Bank has always been there for our neighbors. Like this year, when we saved over 300,000 jobs like Michelle's. And because she's at work, her food distributor is on the job too. And so is the woman that does his website. And the accountant that keeps her books as well. Because when you thrive, we all thrive. City National Bank, 75 years of tradition, a future of promise.
New fan loyalty platform. Coming soon. Become a VIP. Win big prizes. Grand prizes. Tickets. Team gear. Travel. Experiences. Gadgets. A new way to compete. Win. Earn. Connect. Official loyalty and gamification partner. Inter Miami. X Mana. xmana.com.
One step closer.
One step closer. Every AutoNation pink plate gets us one step closer to driving out cancer. Nearly $35 million donated so far, and we're just getting started. Drive pink now in your favorite new car or truck. New vehicles are on their way daily. Plus, sell us your car for top dollar. Drive pink today at AutoNation.
Let me know if you ready to get dollars, holla, cause we wildin' out. If you want it ready, steady, go. Fight the good fight because this is war. We won't go out without a fight. That's the way of a survivor, man. Lace up your boots cause the race is on. Ain't no one taking me out my zone. If you don't know what I'm coming for, if you ain't worthy, I'll take your throne. I put that on everything I love. Sweat and blood, but the best yet to come. Wanna stand up if you getting down. Put up your fist if you with it now. We We them big hitters, so brace yourself. Just another notch up on the belt. Born for greatness, man. Born for greatness, man.
Well, the hunt to the playoffs is officially on, and if that video did not get you goosebumps, get off of our AutoNation pregame show, because I'm excited. Obviously, we just touched on Toronto FC hosting Inter Miami, and a must-win game here for Inter Miami, and Inter Miami wanting to collect all 9 points in the last 3 games of the season. We got some club news, and T, I know you were a part of this last season, so stop writing, stop doing your tactical board. We're going to get you on Coach's Corner in just a hot moment. The Copa de la Familia. I know my Spanish is amazing. You guys don't need to tell me that. You can tweet at me and tell me, though. No problem. Tournament, October 15th. You did the one last season. Tell us a little bit about it.
Really cool, you know. They selected, obviously, very high-level FIFA players, you know, in these tournaments. And then a winner actually goes on to an international competition as well. So this is for South Florida locally. A lot of great gamers, I'm telling you. I'm not a gamer, but I can respect the fact, and there he is last year, you know, with Joe Malfa, who will be running this again, I think, as the host for this tournament. A lot of competitive guys, young guys, as young as 8 years old as 40 years old, and there am I behind them, just trying to figure out.
Trying to learn how to turn on a video game, never mind playing it.
Higuain is, by the way, a 90, yeah? Higuain a 90. Love that.
Phil, are you into video games?
Used to be, and I'm not going to do the, what was the Vancouver player? No, I Have a Life. My son, though, loves FIFA, and that's actually what drove me out of the game. When I could not beat him anymore, that was it.
You know what drove me out of the game is every time I came home and my husband was on playing FIFA. And I was like, I can't move my fingers fast enough. You know what I am good at? Guitar Hero, okay? I know that ages me quite a lot. But again, that tournament happening here at Drive Pink Stadium, October 15. So make sure you guys check that out. T, you want to get over to your Coach's Corner now? Are you ready?
Yeah, I am ready.
Do you need me to throw you that ball?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, your graphic is unbelievable. I will say that. All right, here's my little throw-in.
As a coach, I need a ball, Caleb.
Hold on a second. Let me get your picture on.
I need a ball. There you go.
Did I shake my arm? Yeah, I did. I'm good.
I feel like a coach again. And this is Miami's starting 11, which, by the way, is the same starting 11 that won 3-2 against DC United. So systematically the same. We went to a 4-4-2 for the first time this year on the road and got some success. Calendar proven that he belongs as the number 1, obviously. A little scare with Yetlin against Saudi Arabia. Came off in the 32nd minute with an ankle tear. Wasn't sure if he would start, yes or no. But the Yetlin that we know, the tough, hard guy, the captain in that right back position. Low Mabika that we saw obviously scrambling to keep a ball alive. Kapana to score against DC United. Well, partner Damian Lowe in the middle. 2 guys with great strength and height in the air, obviously, which is also very useful on set pieces. Hey, Mr. McVay, doesn't matter if he plays left, right, middle, or whatever, he gets the job done and needs to get the job done against a very good Ben Nadechki, obviously, for Toronto FC. And on this side, Insigne. 14 goals, 7 assists between those two players. Important defensively that McVay and Yetlin do well. The midfield diamond on the base, the number 6, Mr. Motta. Pasuelo as the 10, Gregory in that right zone, Duke in the left zone, the 2 front runners being Higuain and Campana. And you will see a lot of things here depending on the movement. Let's talk about movement. I think if Yetlin and McVay can get in positive areas and get the ball with the ability to get away from Bernardeschi and Insigne, we can create 3v2, 4 versus 3 overload situations where we can take advantage, i.e. the last ball that Yetlin plays is an overload on that right side as well, a numerical advantage we call that, and Yetlin gets end line, finds Higuain for the goal as well. So these 2 guys are going to be great from a defensive standpoint, taking care of their 2 best attackers, but also need to give us something going forward. In that first game, we saw Campana a little higher, Higuain trying to play underneath. And what happened was Higuain ended up in Pasuelo's space. So the adjustment that Phil Neville made, play high. Play against their 2 center backs. Occupy those 2 guys. Because Pasuelo will find you sooner or later, which he's so brilliant at. Bryce Duke, a very good passer who can facilitate and allow Pasuelo to play a little bit higher, which means he's economically not as exhausted late in games. So that's important. We know that Gregory, in the last few games, his ability now to go forward and carry the ball is so important as well. It's a well-balanced 11 versus a team of
T,
Toronto.
can I just give you some credit? Did you take a class on the old touchscreen, or how quick did you learn how to do this?
Straighter, baby.
I'm absolutely all for this. Keep going, keep rolling.
Thank you so much. So, Jimenez starting today, which he hasn't done for quite a few games. It's still the leading goal scorer with 9, by the way. Insigne, 4. Bernadetsky at 10 or so. He might be the leading goal scorer. Kerr, a little bit of a younger player. Midfield, Michael Bradley. That's a battle right there. Pozuelo versus Bradley. Pozuelo doesn't like his dad. He probably doesn't like his son either. So that should be a real interesting fight as well. Anthony Kay, still a very important player. A guy that's been with Bob Bradley with LAFC. Brought him back in here as well. But that back four with Quinton Westberg has given up 4 goals. And the same back four is playing. And that's why I'm really surprised that Bob Bradley didn't say, you know what? You're not going to be here next year, Mavinga. You're not going to be here, Mr. O'Neill, because those guys struggled against Higuain and Capana in prior games. Toronto only won 1. I think we've beaten them quite a few times. We've drawn them a few times as well. So the opportunity out of this 4-4-2 where we can create numerical advantage. And where we can create numerical advantages is in midfield, Kalen. In particular, let me see here. Whoa.
Oh, okay, you're fired now, T.
God,
you almost had it.
I almost had it.
You almost had it.
I know.
T, I do want to ask you, even if you don't have your touch screen, you touched on how important it was in the attack, right? You touched on the importance of that deep lying midfielder. You touched on the importance of Pozuelo. But then on the flip side of it, the wide areas is where we're so dangerous. So are you a little bit concerned that Phil Neville has gone with his diamond? Because we've all played a diamond midfield, and to be the tip points of Duke and Gregory, defensively and offensively, you have to have a massive engine. You touched on the fullbacks getting high and in a positive advantage, but that quick switch of play where we struggled the last time we played against Toronto in Bradley, how do we deal with them defensively in the transition?
And that's a great point, and actually to use Bob Bradley's phrases, do not, when you get numbers even or in front of the ball, all right, do not lose balls in bad spots, we call that. Because their transition with the 2 cheating Italians, they are very dangerous. And you're absolutely right. In the last game, we got killed by. We're very fortunate that they didn't hit a few more goals, let's be real honest. And you've touched on that, Phil, as well. But the switching the point of attack has been very good by them. And then all of a sudden, you got to stretch Mabika. You don't want to do that. You want these 2 guys to really be comfortable. So take your spots. McVeigh, you go. Yetland, on that weak side, you might want to stay a little bit more because we have good numbers here in midfield. And if you look at that, Kalen, you look at all the natural triangles. This is a triangle. This is a triangle as well. You see all these natural triangles all over the field. The most important players outside of Yetland and McVeigh, obviously, our 2 front runners, is the ability for Gregory, as you said, to bridge a lot of ground. Help defensively on Kay and give us something with or without the ball as well. Because if we don't get in that final third often, then we're wasting the 2 big boys, because the 2 big boys need to get in the 80-yard area where they can do their business. That's where they scored the majority of their goals. And that's where it's come down to as well. Who can be clinical in the 80-yard box? Who can defend better here? I give our team right now a much better chance.
T, I love Coach's Corner, and I most importantly love it with you. And I'm highly impressed. Not only am I impressed with Phil to be able to just pull stuff out of his computer as he's speaking, I'm highly impressed that you know how to work a touchscreen. Just a minor little step. Oh, we got something else from T. Here we go. See, we're not even done. Yeah, let's get a close up on T right now.
Okay.
What are you showing? Don't mess up now, because now you're under pressure.
I think you did the eraser.
Oh, did I do the eraser?
Oh, no.
Okay, where's the oh,
First
here.
one. There you go.
Here we go. Watch this. Oh, wait. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, God.
You're watching TV live.
Correct.
Live and exclusively here at Inter Miami.
Like a real artist, doing the same thing over and over and over again. And what does that mean? What does it mean?
Insanity.
Boom.
I'm going to set us up for success. You've just drawn the heat map of Pozuelo here in tonight's match. There you go. See, this is why I'm paid the big bucks. Anyways, thank you so much for your Coach's Corner. Thomas, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into some tactical stuff before we get on to the radio. Guys, I feel good being here with you tonight. Anyways, don't go anywhere.
Now's your chance to go be great at AutoNation. Go to jobs.autonation.com for endless career opportunities. Work at America's largest and most admired automotive retailer that's driving towards $35 million donated to fight cancer. For industry-leading benefits and a great work experience, visit jobs.autonation.com now and go be great.
¿Qué te pareció el partido?
Bueno, por suerte metimos al captain a tiempo y se llevó muy bien con la piña. Es un dúo que nos gustó mucho y va a ser historia en esta casa. Si quieres vivir un partido épico, mete al captain.
Gracias.
I need to try it first.
Stir things up with Espolón Tequila, the official tequila sponsor of Inter Miami CF. Made with hand-harvested 100% Blue Weber agave from Los Altos de Jalisco, Mexico. Grab an Espolón cocktail at a stadium bar today.
Has served this community for more than 40 years. We guarantee 100% termite eradication or your money back.
Call our flex.
Welcome back into the AutoNation pregame show. Before that Orlando City match, October 5th, we have this match here tonight up in Canada versus Toronto FC. Toronto FC sitting second from the bottom in the Eastern Conference, while Inter Miami sitting in that 7th place. This is the live look right now. Phil Neville touched on it. It's the first game of the weekend, so it plays a little bit of advantage if they can get that 3 points. You look at how close the points are from 11th place to 6th spot. T, what are you making of this table and just how tight it is with our remainder games of which we have left?
You could arguably say you can go all the way up to FC Cincinnati, who has a game or has a game played more, that a 5th spot is a possibility. So you look at Cincinnati, you look at Orlando, you look at Columbus, you look at us, and potentially even Atlanta on the outside looking in, and New England if they can run the table and get some favorable results. The one thing I like, we have our own destiny in our own hands. We don't have to rely on other teams. You get 9 points out of the 3 games, you're in no matter what the other teams do. If you don't, then you got to start watching the scores obviously of the other teams. But a lot of results in the last few weeks, Kalen, have gone our way, quite frankly, and we've taken advantage of it with 2 good wins and 6 points.
You know, another thing I like, though, is the fact that it can get a lot simpler if Miami wins tonight.
Yep.
If Miami wins tonight, New England is out.
By the way, Phil, you make me die laughing. Hold on a minute. He's got literally every single scenario of which can go in our favor or not our favor. No. Keep going. Sorry for interrupting.
If Miami wins tonight and Charlotte does not beat Philadelphia, that's probably not going to happen. Charlotte's gone. If Miami wins tonight and Atlanta does not beat the Revolution, then Atlanta could be out. So we'll see how things work out, but there could be 3 teams that are out, and it could be a very, very tight race with only one team that's on the outside looking in. And again, a win tonight for Miami, I think they're in the driver's seat.
Yep.
You know what I'd be in the driver's seat?
Still will go down to the decision day, though, I think.
Which is the best.
Absolutely.
That honestly, it's the best thing about decision day
with
here.
With us in a good position, with a win or a draw maybe, to get that 7th spot in the last game.
And I know there's a lot of people that throw this out there. Maybe if we could do this thing in the offseason and have plenty to talk about. A lot of soccer fans still want promotion relegation.
I like what you've done there, Phil.
Then no problem. Because Inter Miami is on the cutting edge. But when you take a look at just what's going on, a lot of fans like the promotion relegation. They're thinking, what do the teams at the bottom of the table really have to fight for?
Not happening.
But think of this: 2 games basically left, 2 rounds left in the regular season. 15 teams are still alive for the postseason for 8 spots. Wait until there's an MLS
I wish there would. You know what? And I would love promotion relegation. I think it would be amazing. But the one thing is can you imagine some of these big stars then going to a USL club where you're playing on a high school pitch?
I think the only way it could work is if MLS, and right now it's already at 28 teams. If it gets to the point where it's like 40 and you have your own 220 teams, but my point though is 15 teams are still alive.
We're fighting again. Happy Friday, everyone.
Let's take Cincinnati Inter Miami as an example. Both of those teams would have been relegated after they spent $1 billion. The owners will never allow that. Never.
There's got to be golden parachutes all around.
Yeah, you're right.
But again, there are still 15 teams fighting for 8 spots with basically 2 rounds left to go in the season. Not bad at all.
All to play for, baby.
I will say now, if you look at Major League Soccer, I think one of the most impressive things, let's get away from the promotion relegation. You look at outsiders now looking at Major League Soccer and top players that have come over and just realize how difficult of a league it is. The travel, the teams, and just the quality, quite frankly, in such a short amount of time. How long has Major League Soccer been around now? 25 years?
Quarter of a century. Yeah. Gareth Bale can't even get off the bench in L.A.
Don't do Gareth Bale dirty like that. Stop. He's just resting for the World Cup.
But the other point also, Sportico just came out, and this is another one. Thomas, you remember, DC United was worth $5 million back when this whole league began. They now just had a valuation to sell minority shares that sees them at about $800 million. That comes after the Sportico rankings, which has LA at close, I think, over $1 billion. Toronto, by the way, made an 8% jump. They're number 5 at over $700 million, and Miami, the biggest jump of all, jumping 4 spots to $585 million. Amazing. And that is before they open up their stadium in a couple of years. And by the way, this coming week, open up their training facility just down the road.
I remember the first year in MLS. That was in 1996. It's all the coaches.
Story time with Thomas
and all the owners. And every owner talked about, well, we heavily invested at $5 million each in the franchise. $5 million. In 1996.
Now it's about 350.
And now
might get your seat at the table.
Over $1 billion.
Why didn't you get your wallet out when it was worth $5 million? We know you had it in your bank account.
T-Rex arms.
Some people made a little bit of money, and correctly so. And some of these clubs are right now valued as high as Aston Villa and Leeds and some.
And by the way, we make fun of that a little bit.
EPL teams.
This league would not have happened if they hadn't ponied up the $5 million.
Yeah.
And now we take a look where it is.
Okay, so let's get back to the playoff race real quickly. Toronto, winnable, definitely winnable on the road. Then you come back home and you're facing Orlando City side.
Who is likely going to, already eliminated. Montreal is the final one, and they're already locked into second place. So neither of those teams have anything to fight for.
What do you mean, Orlando?
Well, no, I mean, Orlando. Good point, but I mean,
Orlando's only 3 points ahead.
But I mean, they would have clinched the spot. That's what I mean.
If they lose the next one, or the next the next one,
I think they're practically in.
We could, I'm telling you, they're what, at 45, Phil? We're at 42.
Orlando, 45.
That's a win for us and a loss for Orlando, which is very possible this weekend. And all of a sudden, you're tied with them. I mean, and you're looking potentially.
Though is, again, Columbus, who doesn't really have the
no, but Columbus right now misses their biggest goal-scoring threat due to a 1-game suspension. It's Cucho Hernandez as well.
So, by the way, he's only scored 1 goal in like the last.
We are clearly in the driver's seat. We are clearly right now a team, and that's what Kalen said. And when she talked to Phil Neville, we're going to win all 3 games. We don't have to worry about anything else, and that's the right attitude to take. And it will start tonight, I'm sure, with Inter Miami.
Let's quickly touch on attitude. Phil Neville. Talk to me about what he's done with this side, because it hasn't been easy. Yes, he's been here for 2 seasons. He came into a team that wasn't his team. They completely revamped it. Chris Henderson took his little magic wand. Don't even know how he did it. And Phil Neville's basically had a new team again this season. So are you impressed since Phil Neville has come in? He's come in from a women's side, from the England national team where they were very successful, and now coming into Major League Soccer and basically having 2 different teams in 2 seasons.
Yeah. In being around him almost every week for 2 minutes, the last time it was a half an hour, he's growing on me. And what I mean by that is we can argue about X's and O's as long as we, I'm sure when he looked at some of my games, he could have criticized me as a coach as well. Which we've done throughout this, but I think there's more positives this year than negatives. And the way he handled Higuain, by the way, is absolutely brilliant. Being able to tell Higuain, you're going to be a role player, you're going to come off the bench, and for Higuain to buy into it after the first 2 years being, spoiled brat a little bit, to me, I said, you know what? Somehow Phil Neville, all right, can push the right buttons with even the biggest player in the team that responds to a coach. And that's what I look for. Do players respond to coaches? And yes, because this team speaks highly of Phil and believes in Phil and wants to execute as best as they can within the skill set of individual players and the group as well. And that's still questionable. Can we get better in certain areas going forward? I think we can. Hey, right now, let's just enjoy it. Phil Neville and this team, 7th place, a chance to finally reach the playoffs. I think he's done a great job.
Well, you know what I'm going to enjoy? Listening to the pair of you on radio for this massive match. And if you're tuning in to
Go ahead.
I need a coffee.
Yeah.
What is it? TV 33, apologies. I need a coffee, okay? It's
Yeah.
Friday, I've had a long week. You can tune in with Ray Hudson and Chris Winningham. Chris Winningham filling in for Andres Cordero, who is not here tonight. So again, you guys, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
For coming on set with me and not making fun of my hat. I really thought I was going to get thrown under the bus.
I'm telling you.
We just felt underdressed.
I'm telling you.
I even wore the pink shoes today, you guys.
Yeah.
I'm really on form. I want this 3 points here. Again, thank you guys for tuning in to the AutoNation Pre-Game Show. Inter Miami playing up north against Toronto. A must win. 3 points,
And
9 points in the last
by the
3
way,
games.
a cafecito, pastelito,
Sí,
eh?
por favor.
Por favor.
Anyways, ciao for now.
Ciao, ciao.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
Demesman & Dover Law Firm is about community for me.
For us, South Florida is our home.
You all are our people, our family, our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters.
Because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us anytime at 866-954-MORE. Demesman & Dover, your accidentattorneys.com.
Everyone is celebrating this goal. Wendy's Gold Deal! Now enjoy a delicious double stack plus small fries, small Coca-Cola, 4-piece nugs, and a Junior Frosty for only $6. Celebrate Wendy's epic goal!
We changed our fries to make them hot and crispy every single time.
High five.
And every single time, Toby insists we high five.
High five. High five. High five. It'll catch on, right?
Try Wendy's hot and crispy fries, preferred almost 2-to-1 over McDonald's.
¿Qué te pareció el partido?
Bueno, por suerte metimos al captain a tiempo y se llevó muy bien con la piña. Es un dúo que nos gustó mucho y va a ser historia en esta casa. Si quieres vivir un partido épico, mete al captain.
Gracias.